I can tell you from personal experience, the mainstream media can be ruthless. So suiting up for a gladiator-like showdown every day in the press briefing room is not for the faint of heart. Luckily, Karoline Leavitt does not scare easily. The youngest ever White House press secretary made it clear in her first month on the job that this administration is one of truth and facts, not media bias. And in her first sit-down interview since taking the post, she tells us how she's taken this job by the horns while balancing life as a new mom. Karoline Leavitt, press secretary to the White House.
Yes.
First of all, did you ever imagine that you would be press secretary to such a dynamic president in such a time as this, where things are changing at rapid pace, and you're the youngest person to ever hold this position?
Yes, definitely never imagined this, but I love my job. I'm so honored and humbled to be the press secretary for President Trump, who, as you said, truly is the most dynamic president in our lifetimes. And it's such a blessing every day when I show up to this place, the beautiful White House, to work. I just thank God for the opportunity. We are fundamentally transforming our country for the better, truly restoring our government for the people, by the people, which is exactly what the American people elected President Trump to do.
There's a lot to study up on.
Yes.
So before you enter that briefing room, you know you're going to face some hostile media.
Yes.
You know they're coming for you. How do you prepare for a moment like that?
Well, first of all, I look forward to it, and I relish the opportunity to bring the truth and the facts to the podium. And unfortunately, the mainstream media has been blinded by this bias, this anti-Trump bias. And it's actually quite sad, because rather than dealing with people who are truly interested in journalistic integrity and finding out the truths and the facts, they're coming into that room with a preconceived narrative and bias. The president speaks the truth. He speaks his mind directly. It's just my job to prepare and figure out what the truth is versus what the fake news narratives are, and then just bring that to the podium.
And we got to see the room where it all happens.
Okay, here we are.
This is it.
This is where it all goes down.
Yes.
Wow.
This is the briefing room.
It's smaller than it appears on TV, actually.
It definitely is smaller.
Yeah.
And then when you pack a whole bunch of press in here, it gets a lot smaller.
Yeah, well, I can imagine coming up here for the first time.
Yeah.
Having interned, having been through all that's happened in the past year.
Yeah.
The first briefing, that must have been a moment to look out here.
It definitely was a moment, seeing just a sea of people who want to make me look bad. And it's just me, myself, and I up here. But it's an empowering moment. And you are, as you can tell, elevated. Mm-hmm. You are the leader of the orchestra. And
you're in charge here.
You're in charge, and just calling on, you know, the people you want to go to. And I have my staff who sit here, and I can feel their positive energy when I'm up here, like nodding their heads when I say good things. So that really helps to have them, you know, in here with me. But, you know, it's a lot of fun. This is where the fun happens in here.
And you guys have expanded this for influencers.
Yes.
And where are they sitting? Are they in these chairs as well?
So they're right here in this first seat, which has always been reserved for staff. We're working on a plaque for them to kind of give them some dignity that they deserve. But that's the new media seat. So every briefing we've invited an influencer, a podcaster, an independent journalist who works for a news organization, and a legitimate news organization that is not represented by these seats here, which brings a more positive tone, and I think a more realistic tone with that first question. They ask things that I think people at home actually care about,
yeah, which
kind of sets the scene for the rest of the players in the room. We've had Sage Steele in the seat. We've had the CEO of Breitbart, of Axios News, the Ruthless podcast, which has been extraordinarily successful. So that has been a lot of fun, and we have some other ideas to switch it up.
Well, we'll have to stay tuned to what's going on in here.
Please do.
Good afternoon, everybody.
But making history at this podium may only be Karoline's second biggest moment of the past year. You started out as, you know, at the campaign. You started out as the spokesperson for the Trump campaign. Mm-hmm. Then you became a mom, right? And we're back on the job days after giving birth. Now you're the press secretary for the White House. Can you pinpoint a moment over the past year that's been the best?
Well, there's been so many amazing moments, surreal moments. Obviously, the birth of my child is the best moment of my life and forever will be. And being a parent, I think through a very tumultuous campaign and becoming a mom for the first time really gave me great perspective on life and this crazy world of politics that we live in. You know, I want my son to grow up in a free America that we've studied and learned about in our classrooms, and you know, not this hatred that the left spews for our country. So it really does inspire you to be a little bit more passionate than you ever thought you could be.
You know, being a mom, I think I can appreciate so much of what you just said. One of the reasons that I worked so hard was for my kids. You know, we're not doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for the future of this country. But it is a lot to be a mom and a full-time working mom at that, to be the press secretary for the White House. Take me through a day in the life of Karoline Leavitt. It must start very early.
It does.
There must be a lot that happens in a day for you. How do you manage all of it as a new mom?
Yeah. It has been the most rewarding and incredible time of my life, but certainly one of the most challenging times of my life. You know, trying to strike that balance between being great at my job and also being great as a wife and as a daughter, a friend, and of course, most importantly, as a mother. And I try to tell myself when there's long hours or even nights and days away from my son campaigning with the president and now working at the White House that this is temporary, it's once in a lifetime, and we're doing real work to truly save our country. You just do your best and then don't really sleep much and get up the next day and do your best again.
The mom guilt is very real,
Yes.
but you know what? I always think about this, and I think I can safely say for you, one day your son will be so proud of his mom and all that she's done. What advice would you give to maybe someone in college now or even in high school who, you know, wants to follow in your footsteps or wants to one day do great things and be able to do some of the things that you've done?
Yeah, it's a great question. First of all, if you find yourself to be a conservative on campus, you are definitely in the minority, but don't let that dissuade you from speaking truth and raising your hand, and even against your professors, which I did often as well. Seize every opportunity is something I always tell young people. Even if it's an unpaid internship, long hours, just do it, and it will lead you to the next opportunity in life. And then thirdly, remember that someday your intern could possibly be your boss. So never burn bridges and leave everybody with a good impression is advice I was given when I was in college, and I've tried to take that with every opportunity, and I think it's helped.
Well, that's good advice. That's very good advice.
And as one of the strong women in the president's daily orbit, she has some unique insight into the commander-in-chief.
Tell me one thing that would surprise people about how it is to work for Donald Trump.
There's a lot of things. I think there's still so many misconceptions. I think the best thing about him that I've learned is he's a great listener, and he values the opinions of everybody in the room. And that's fascinating to me as the leader of the free world, that he cares what everybody in the room thinks. And something else I've noticed is he's so generous with his time. And sometimes it means we're running late throughout the day. Trump time here at the White House.
Trump time's a real thing.
Trump time is a real thing, but it's because he's so hospitable and generous with his time.
This has been such a remarkable first couple weeks of this administration. Your position, you've done amazingly well at. What do you want people to remember you for as press secretary when you leave?
Oh gosh, it's only been a month. So, you know, that's a question. Ask me in 4 years. But I hope that they'll remember this presidency, and I think they will, this entire administration, as delivering on exactly what President Trump promised he would do. And that makes all of our jobs and our lives so much easier every day because he is doing exactly what he said he was going to do. But it's just incredible to be part of an administration that, unlike so many presidencies before President Trump, we're actually doing what he promised the people. And as his press secretary, it makes my job a heck of a lot easier. There's no spin, there's no lies, it's all just truth and facts and results. And it's just so exciting to be part of it.
Well, we appreciate all you do, and thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Laura, and congrats on your new show.
Thank you.
It's going to be a hit.